What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Invest Iowa. And today I have Kevin with me, and we're going to talk about earnest money and sub two, creative finance, a little bit of everything. Thank you so much for coming, Kevin.
Thank you for inviting me. You're relentless, man.
I'm trying, dude. How do you get started in real estate? I've seen you all over the place. Now you're giving conferences. Now you're teaching people how to do things that you're finding are very effective. Before we get into that, walk me through your story. How did you become a real estate investor?
Well, so for me, I came in a little bit non-traditional route because um I've never really had a different job. So like if you look at other people's careers, um most people started with their W-2 and they leave their W-2 or they have a family. But for me, I started when I was 19. So I never really had any and the reason why I got into it was because I was in high school. I graduated high school in 2019, and by 2000 and my freshman year, I just wanted to get out of the college that I was going to, and in order for me to get out, there was no other way for me to get out other than having something else planned. Having it's like I can't just quit and then figure out what to do. I had to quit. I had to have something lined up and then make the transition there going forward. And the only thing I really knew at that time was, hey, like what do I do if I don't have a college degree? And the only thing that I really knew at that time was real estate, which is the reason why I kind of said, okay, well, mom, like I'm gonna do real estate for a little bit, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna come back. But that's what I told her, but I never really had a full intention of going back. So that's kind of how I got started.
Gotcha. And then what was the first type of strategy or deal or mastermind that you touched?
My mastermind.
So what I'm asking is, after you decided you wanted to quit, where did you go? Where do you look for help? How did you get into real estate?
So I actually got started more in like a business side of things. So if so to give a context, if I got started in I graduated in May of 2019, and then going into end of 2019, I got into an ATM business before I actually got into real estate. So I did that for a little bit just because I was just watching all these YouTube contents that was giving me the information about how to get started in business and whatnot. And then so I get my first machine, probably around like beginning of 2020, and then I have the ATM machine going, and then I transitioned into real estate. So I sold that ATM machine, and then I transitioned into real estate. And um, I because I didn't know what else to do, I just kind of started off with getting my license, and I ended up passing my license test. But then the week that I passed my real estate license test, I get introduced to wholesaling just because I was watching all these YouTube contents on YouTube because I knew I was going to real estate. So I get into wholesaling, or I get introduced to it, and then I'm like, okay, well, this is way better than I thought. Like I would rather do this than going the agent route because you can make so much more money doing it versus capping yourself at 2-3% commission or 2.5% commission. So that's when I made the pivot of just getting into the wholesaling side of things, which is what you do.
Gotcha. And then so become a wholesaler, how do you get involved with the sub two community?
So I get into wholesaling June of 2020. So it's almost been 3 years now. And let's see. Let me I got to revisit this timeline because the timeline's all mixed up. So I joined a wholesaling mentorship, 2020, June of 2020. And then I do my very first deal near the end of the mentorship. And the way I got into that mentorship and the way I got into sub two mentorship was that mentorship the first mentorship that I joined was a 6 month program.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was coming to an end, and I needed to find a different mentorship for me to jump into, which was and then about a month or two before my membership was expiring, that's when I get into, that's why that's when I find Pace and all those people.
Gotcha. Okay. You find all of those people, and then what? Were you closing deals?
No.
Okay. When was your first deal?
When was it?
Yeah. And what was it? Was it a wholesale or
What was my first deal? I don't remember the address, but I do remember it was December of 2021. So I joined my mentorship in 2000 June of 2020, and then I get my first deal like right before the end of it. So it was a first deal. I I was doing like the previous mentor, the first mentorship that I was at, they were teaching me, hey, you have to cold call, you have to pull leads, you have to cold call, you have to send text messages, and it was getting costly. And it got to a point where I couldn't afford it anymore. So what I ended up doing was I just went on Facebook Marketplace and just looked at all the houses that were for sale by owner. And I did the texting for 5 months and I didn't get anything out of it. And then the last and then the last month that I do my investing, and then the last month that I do my uh that I'm in the mentorship, I just go on Facebook Marketplace and I just kind of reach out to the houses that look like a for sale by owner. And honestly, the second day that I was just kind of scrolling through, I get a for sale by owner. She just recently lost her job and she was in a position where, and she was, because she lost her job, she was going through a hardship, and her husband left her and her kid. So she just had to get out of the house. She couldn't afford it, and the house was a mess because she couldn't, keep, pay for the upkeep of it. Um, and then I had and this was almost Christmas time. And we make an offer. I don't even know what the offer was. And I just kind of say, hey, I'll give you, 60% of what the Zillow says, and I'll close really quick. And she ended up taking it. I did a couple price drops. I did like a $15,000 price drop, and she ended up taking it because she was in such a desperate situation where she had to move out. So she did that. So that's my first deal.
okay? How do you find the buyer for that?
I leveraged another wholesaler that had the buyer.
Okay. And then you split the percentage with them.
I did, yes.
Gotcha. Did those relationships start bringing in more deals
The relationship with the wholesaler?
with the wholesaler?
No, because all they did for me was just to find. So I would have to bring the deal to the table, and they would find the buyer for me.
Right. Yeah. How is wholesaling in Arizona?
What do you mean? How is wholesaling in Arizona?
Is it crowded? Is there a lot of people doing it currently? Do you find deals often out of, I'll give you an example here. Out of 30,000 text blasts, we'll get one lead.
30,000 text spots. You guys get with one lead.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and one like hot lead, right? What would that look like in terms of Arizona?
So I don't run a campaign out here specifically, so I don't have the metrics. But for me, like I have done majority of my deals in Arizona, and I think when the market was really hot, it was pretty tough to um get like cash deals because everybody was all over cash deals. Cash deals in Arizona was like nearly impossible for me at least. And what I would do but now that the market has cooled down a little bit, like not many people are as flipping as they used to, not many people are wholesaling as they used to. I just focus a lot of my attention on in just subject to transactions where I just come in and take over the mortgage payment. And I mean, I have done 38 sub two deals so far this year, and I probably have another 7 in escrow. And I think I'll say half of them are in Arizona. So like in terms of creative finance transactions, yes, Arizona is it's getting competitive too. But
Okay.
you just gotta, number one, get your edge. You
Yeah.
have to know what you're doing. You have to, explain things correctly and all that.
Okay. And because of those sub two, that brings me to conversation of what you're most known for from what I've seen is the earnest money, right? So like Gator lending. Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. Could you give me a 101 on Gator lending? How you came across Gator lending and what it's done for you?
Well, it's made me a lot of money for sure.
Yeah.
Not a lot of, but it's made me pretty easy money. So Gator lending is basically when you lend for you don't lend like on a transaction, but you lend on small things here and there. So example would be if I like right now I have a deal going on where the seller requires, okay, if you want to buy this deal from me, you would need to pay me $2,500. You would need to wire $2,500 earnest money to secure just to know that you're serious about this transaction. So I said, perfect. But then if I happen to not have that $2,500, if whether you're new or your money is tied up somewhere, you can just literally go up to them and say, you can literally go up to anybody that's in Gator, that community, say, hey, I have this deal that I'm buying, um, but I'm looking to, but I don't have the money right now. Is anybody willing to lend me, $2,500 for, and I'll give you $500 in return, something like
Okay.
that. So you're temporarily borrowing money for, uh, earnest money or whatever.
How do you structuring the returns?
For me, it's 40%.
40%?
So if I lend somebody, $1,000, I have to get $400 back. If I lend somebody, $3,000, I have to get, $1,200 back.
What are the risks and the implications that you will have to assume by borrowing this money? Because it's a great return, right? But usually with a great return comes great risk. I'm sure you've had these conversations before. How do you mitigate that risk, or even if you do at all?
So Gator lending is a little bit unorthodox because you're not really lending on the deal, right? So, and I don't know if you watched some of my videos, but I always talk about, hey, earnest money has very little to do with the transactions, but I think it's really more up to the person that you're lending the money to. So it's like if I have a really really bad deal, and I said, and there are a lot of people that will still lend money to me that way, but then there's someone that's brand new, and and they have a really really good deal, like I'll be a little bit more hesitant to lend them the money because you have no experience, and how are you going to pay me back if something goes south. So it's more like there are times where I turn down good deals on lending just because I don't know the person and I don't bet the person. But
Okay.
there are also a lot of times where I don't even look at the deal. I'm pretty sure it's a good deal, but I'm lending to the person that's actually very high level. They know what they're doing in their business.
Okay, so you land on the person, not on the deal necessarily.
Right.
Okay, okay, I get it. And then for walk me through the timeline on the process. So let's say, hey Kevin, I found a deal. I don't have the funds for it. Where do you take the conversation now?
So who am I talking to?
To me. So let's say that I am asking you to fund my deal, right? What will that conversation look like?
Okay, the couple questions. Who's buying the deal? Are you the buyer or are you wholesaling the deal?
Okay.
Is there any inspection period? Because if there's inspection period, then I'm able to pull my money out. Okay, and then number three is how much money do you, how much track record do you have? If this is your first deal, then most likely I wouldn't.
Okay.
But if it's the 20th deal and the 25th deal, I'm like, okay, well, I might give you a little bit of a try, and I'll give you that, and I'll start with a smaller amount first,
Right.
and then um uh you have to personally guarantee every single lending that I do. So like you have to, if something goes wrong, you have to give me the personal guarantee on that money so that I'm more protected.
Okay. And how long does it take you to get the money back after you close escrow?
Yeah, so typically 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so it's a 1 month lending process.
Yes.
Okay, I have seen and I have heard stories on Facebook of Gator lending going wrong. Maybe this will bring us back to the relationship and not knowing the person. But what do you think about those stories, horror stories?
What do you mean when I think about it?
What would you say to avoid that? Because there's people that have tried Gator lending and have not been successful. Why do you think that is?
I think people get too excited too quick, thinking, hey, like if I'm making 40% return on my money and let's say 4 weeks, that's a $1,200, 1,200% return on your money annually.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people are going to have that access to that kind of return. And what I say is you know, I think most people make the mistake because they see the return and they don't vet the deal. They're just excited about the return, so they just wire the money, and now your money's gone. But at the same, this is what I say is, with great return, comes with great risk. You said that earlier, and then with smaller return, it's typically safer. So for me, like, I say the people that have, I mean, even like I've never lost money on this deal, but I never lost money on lending deal, but I did lose on my opportunity to make the money. I pull all my money out before I lose it. And I think all the deals that I didn't make my money on, it was because I made too quick of a decision.
Okay. Okay. And what was that? Hesitation?
I made too quick of a decision. So like
Okay.
I just jumped in right in.
Okay. How do you vet these deals? I mean, I know relationships and all of that. Is there any other system or any other process that you go through?
I mean, other than what I said earlier, like with inspection period, um, who's buying the deal, how much are you gonna personally guarantee this deal? Like there's no like 100% safe way of vetting the deal. I think it's very personal, person by person. I've
Right.
had instances where I said, hey, come see me in person, and we'll have a conversation. And that happened before. Like if I see you in person, and you're able to shake hands with me in person, like I'll be more likely to give you the money.
Right. I see what you're saying. And then this is done with single family. Have you done it with multifamily? And is it possible?
I mean, Gator lending is possible with single family, multifamily. Um, it's Gator lending is just a concept of lending money outside of the traditional way of lending, like private money lending, like outside of those. Yeah, but you can definitely do Gator lending with all sorts of transactions. I
Gotcha.
mean, you could maybe even do it with a car. You want to buy a car, you
Yeah.
have somebody put the down payment for you temporarily, and you pay them back. Like that's a form of Gator lending.
Okay. I've seen Pace doing videos like that about sub two for vehicles.
Yeah.
This was something that I completely changed the topic. How do you become so close with Pace? A high value individual. What did he see on you that is worth keeping around?
What does he see me in that? What does he see inside of me that's high? That's worth high value.
Yeah, I mean, you guys' relationship is it's fairly close, right? Would you say?
Yeah.
Y-
So kind of
Yeah.
close.
How, first of all, how did that become a thing? And also from my experience, usually people that are highly successful only want individuals that want to grow um around them. How was that? How was your communication with him, and why did you guys become so close?
I mean, I can't say that why he would, because I it's like I still don't know why.
You don't know.
I don't have a reason why. I don't have a specific reason why he would do that. I'm sure. Well, a lot of it has to do with I serve back. I serve to the community with this community. I sell them a lot of deals. Um, and I'm an action taker, right? Like when it's like this. It's like when I was a Sunday school teacher and I was giving my Sunday school students the homework and they will come back the next Sunday and they have the homework done, I would love on that student way more than the student that just came back without anything. And
Right.
I think it's like if somebody tells you what to do and somebody knows the steps ahead of you and they don't take that up, they don't take it, and or they don't listen. Like most people will just say, "Hey, this is not worth my time spending into because I will no matter what I tell you, you're not going to do it."
Mm-hmm.
But for you, like, but then for a student that came back with the homework, if I poured into you and you came back every single week with the homework with the completed homework, and you have active questions that you're doing, active questions about a deal you're doing, like that's way more. It's more rewarding that way. That's my guess.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're an action taker.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I mean, I would say that's kind of
Yeah.
why that's my guess.
What do you think are your strengths? What do you think makes you stand out as an individual?
What are my strengths?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a hard question. Hmm. Uh, I mean, I honestly think one of my strengths is being younger in the business. I don't know if that's I don't know if I would call that a strength, but I'll
Yeah,
definitely
that is. That is. Yeah.
uh being younger in the business that definitely gets you attention, because if you have younger people in the industry that's that's making it out, that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
How old are you?
22.
22. Yeah.
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 So
What else?
and
What do you think is standing out on the real estate business besides you got to be persistent. I mean, I think you're making it seem a lot more complicated than it is, but you have a lot of the grinder entrepreneurial mindset that most real estate investors have.
yeah, I think the challenge for most people is they have to unlearn a lot of the stuff that they have learned throughout the years, right? Like they have to unlearn, okay, if I don't do anything today, I'm not getting paid. Most people that go to work, and I attest to it myself too. Um, when like you could go a couple hours, at your work and not do anything and still get paid,
Yeah.
you know. But here in real estate, like whatever you put in is whatever you get out. So if you don't put in the work, then there's definitely no way for you to get the results. And I never had to unlearn something for me to be where I'm at. Like I could just start, like it's like if I'm here and you want to get to here, or if I'm here and I want to get to here,
Yeah.
some people have to unlearn the past for them to even be present. But for me, I just went straight forward. I didn't need to go unlearn anything because I was already this is an analogy that I give. It's like whatever I put on the painting is whatever I put on the painting. I don't need any eraser to erase it. It's like I start on a blank white piece of paper.
Hmm.
And whatever I start drawing is whatever I start drawing. Like I don't need to go back and fix any of the problems, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what really helped me to be where I'm at, in my opinion.
Okay. Are you a second generation immigrant or how's that?
Yes,
Gotcha. And where's your family originally from?
Korea.
Korea? Did
Yeah.
they um is their mindset in accordance to what you're doing right now? What does your family think of what you're doing in real estate?
Mm, I mean, I would definitely say that, coming from a Korean family, you just put yourself in a very difficult position to get out of the traditional way, right? Most people don't do what I do, and most
Right.
people don't make the kind of money that I make. And I think just getting out into the business side of things, especially when you're second generation Korean, it's a little tougher just because you have to follow the path that everybody is going. And like and I had to fight a lot of uphill battles just for me to get approval for me to go full time into real estate, because not many people in my family approved. I mean, not nobody in my family approved me doing real estate in the first place. So it's a tough sell because you don't get that kind of freedom, you don't get that kind of luxury of, okay, go explore, versus in Korean culture, your path is kind of set, or at
Okay.
least until college.
Okay. So there's no tolerance to change. Is it conservative?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So but then you've always been the standout, the black sheep in your family.
I've always been that way, yeah. And but at the same time, I knew it. Like I always trust my gut instinct, because I like it came out positive. Like me joining stuff too, me getting into real estate, me dropping out of college. Those were all gut instincts, and it turned out really, really well. So, um, yeah,
You don't regret any of this? Is something that you regret not taking
no
action
regrets.
on?
I have no regrets.
You have no regrets. That's good.
No, not a single one.
Now, what do you see for your future? What's the future of Kevin? What are you working on? What are you hoping to get in? What's your exit strategy in the business if you have started to think about one?
I think if you ask, people, hey, what's your end goal? And I think everyone's end goal at the end of the day, even with real estate or any other ventures, is for them to comfortably make money that where the where they don't have to worry about, like, have enough income coming in where to a point where they don't need to go get a job, where they can, go on vacations and whatnot. And for me, I'm earlier on in my career. I'm 22. I've turned 23 in a couple months. But I mean, I just got into the midterm rental space. I'm buying a couple of buying a couple of houses right now where um I'll be cash flowing, $1,500 to $2,500 per house.
Okay.
So, by the end of the year, I want to get to at least 15 to 20 grand in passive midterm rental cash flow, and have that money coming in so I can make, more aggressive decisions, knowing that, okay, even if this venture fails, I'll have money coming in every single day.
Okay. So avoiding that risk is financial freedom, the bigger purchase, the bigger picture in your mind, or is it becoming wealthy in
Uh,
general?
I don't know what my plan is on being wealthy looks like. It's hard for me to, it's too far out. I can't see
Yeah.
that far.
Okay. But for
Yeah.
now, just keep holding rentals and then grow your portfolio to the point that you're comfortable with them.
Yeah, because and the whole reason why I want to get into, this kind of, passive cash flow is because I want to play aggressive game. Like, I
Okay.
don't want to have to worry about, you know like, it's like you make different kinds of decisions when you know that this is your last chunk of change
Mm-hmm.
versus this is my chunk of change that I'll get again next month. And
Right.
your mindset is in a different spot. You make better, more aggressive decisions, and that's kind of where I want to be at. Like, I'm 22. Like, I could care less about losing couple thousand grand just because I like that aggressive game right now. Maybe, like, for people that are almost retiring, you might not have that enough time.
Gotcha. What do you want people to remember Kevin for?
Oh man.
Putting you in the spot here.
Uh Man, I wish people would remember me as someone that was out to get it. Someone that I had a dinner with this guy named Matt Bell on Saturday, and I was telling him my story that I told you, and he goes, "Man, you should tell your story. That's so inspiring." And my first instinct was, really? Like, I feel like a lot of people do this. I feel like I hear these stories all the time. And he goes, and he asked me a question. He goes, "Do you have any fear?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a lot." Like, why? Do you not feel like I have fear? He goes, no, I feel like all the things you have done, like getting into ATM business, getting into the real estate, and then buying your first house and buying midterm rentals, and the trajectory and the momentum that you have, I feel
Yeah.
like you would have I feel like you have no fear. And I'm like, no, I have a lot of fear. And I just kind of left it at that. And I came home and I was flying, and that night I flew out to Tampa to see the houses that I bought. And I thought, like, why did he say that? Did he, like, do I actually not have fear? Is what I'm doing, like, pretty cool thing to do, I guess. So, like, go now, going back to answering your question, um if I could ask that question, if I were to ask myself, what do I want people to remember me as, I'll say someone that was fearless, or at least fear less than most people.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Everybody has fears, but it's like, are you gonna let it take over? I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, that's impactful. I mean, that's why I have to chase you. For the people that don't know, we had to reschedule this event on 3 different occasions just because the amount of things that this guy is working on, it's insane, the amount of deals and things that this guy is working on. But that's just to know that this you're a go-getter, right? And
Yeah.
everybody has fears.
Right. And I'm getting better at it. Like, right now I have, 4 different, ventures going on. I got my midterm rental, I got my wholesale business, I have my dispo company, I have my lending business. And like and now I have partners where I can start to take some off my plate. But like it all happened in the last 6 to 8 months, 6 to 8 weeks where, man, I have so much things on my plate. Like I have Zooms back to back to back, and I can't even go eat lunch. And you know, and now I'm getting better at work. You
Yeah.
know, we had to schedule 3 different occasions because I would always have something going on.
Yeah.
So
But it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna pay off. I'm sure of it.
yeah.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you. Hope you're doing as successful as ever and you keep grinding and getting to it. If you guys have any questions for Kevin, let me know in the comments. Thank you for being on the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
If you made it this far on the video, subscribe, hit the like button, and I see you guys on the next one.